time since we've done this. So I think it's good because we got some new people in the Discord, right? Just kind of cover the basics of the stock market and the movements of the stock market, using nothing else but just the candles and the higher highs and the lower highs. Some of you, will recognize this, and I'll add, the breakout structure and change of character, which should help you at least control your bias, right? I don't know if you've heard of the concept before, but I've talked about it before. I've done it. I've learned it. If you're trading Forex, smart money concepts, it was intended to follow the banks. Banks trade Forex a lot, right? Just because of the hedging that they have and the currencies. Because sometimes, if let's say Drew was to go to a bank and he's like, hey, give me $2 million of, I don't know, yen. Those banks have to be able to provide. They have to order the yen, right? Usually they don't have that much in a retail bank. They would order, they're probably going to charge them a little fee, and then the conversion, they're going to charge them fee on that as well. But if the bank did not have any in their actual vault, right, in the Fed where they store the money, what do you think they have to do? What does the bank have to do if Drew wants $2 million worth of yen? They have to go in the market and buy it, right? They will have to go and they have to acquire it, and then they will store it. And then when the order comes in, they're going to be like, hey, Drew, we got your money. And Drew goes to the bank and he cashes it, right? And in between, there's a lot of transactions that happen. And one of them would be on the stock market or Forex market where they trade. So people actually invented, those concepts, smart money concepts. And it's really nothing else but price action in the trading and looking at what is happening, where are the imbalances. And if you remember, maybe I would say a year back, you can correct me if anyone remembers the time frames. I'm really bad at it. I can find the supply and demands and imbalances just using candles, guys. I don't need, I could use volume profile, which is more accurate because it gives me a better representation where the congestions are, like this one here or this one here. But if I don't have this, I can use the candles, and as long as I understand the structure, what time frame we're on, are we making lower highs, lower lows, or higher highs and higher lows? So that way I'm not fighting the trend, and are we breaking structures to the downside? So when you think about structures, the markets move, I would say this way, higher highs, higher lows. They're always doing this in some shape or form. In between, you might have macro, steps, but higher highs, higher lows, and then eventually comes in a step where they do this, and then they reverse. So each one of these, and this is the best I can explain, this is a break of structure to the upside. This is another break of structure to the upside right here. Break of structures means you're continuing the trend that you're in. You're just breaking the structures that you put up top or in the bottom. So this is structures breaking the tops. Okay, so you're going up. If I can click, that'd be great. Here you're breaking the structure. So this is your BOS, as I call it, right? Just for here's your structure break. You're breaking higher, and this is all price action terminology. That's nothing. Some people call it, the ICT calls it the market structure break. Sure, there's just a different name for break of structure, break of highs. You break this high, you come back, and then there's something that's happening here. And what's happening is that you put in a high, you put in a higher low, but now you have a lower high and a lower low. You guys see that? So what happens is that this is your change of character. You're changing the characteristic of the market from making higher highs and higher lows to what? Lower highs and lower lows. So now this piece right here, for me, in my world, when I talk about terminologies, I call this, whatever, a choa or whatever you want to call it. I call it change of character. If you have a better name to come up, feel free. Everybody else fucking comes up with new names every day and they call it a new strategy. So if you want to call it, I don't know, sunflower break, call it sunflower break. I don't care. As long as you understand the concept behind it, that's the key. So now, if this is the change of character, this gives you a warning that we are topping and that the supply is becoming overly aggressive for the demand. Remember, there's no more buyers and sellers. There's aggressiveness of suppliers and aggressiveness of people willing to buy the demand. If I want something so badly, does it matter the price?
No.
Probably not. If you think about, and I always bring up PlayStation 5 because I had a struggle to buy it for my nephews at one point, 2 years or whenever it was back. I mean, the supply was there, but what would happen is that those people that buy online, scalpers, they would go buy the PlayStation 5s and then they would hold it and then they would go on eBay and put it up at 1,000, 1,500s. If a rich person came on eBay, do you think he gives a damn or she if price is 1,500? No, it's just the number of buyers at that level is what? Is it higher or lower?
Lower.
Lower.
So we're expecting less buyers, but there will be buyers. And that buyer particularly doesn't care if he spends 1,500 or 500. If he wants it, he buys it. So here, when you see the change of characters happening, and this happens a lot on 1 minute time frame, any time frame you're trading, right, as a your own strategy, this happens a lot. Like where you're making higher highs and then a change of character happens. Usually, what happens is once we change the character, on price naked charting, I'll look for imbalance candles that caused the break of this low. Once I find the low, I'll find the imbalance candle right before it or consolidation candle before it. And you can mark that as supply and put a stop loss before previous high. And you're shorting in that case, in this example here. And the same is true if you're going down, right? If I was going down and I'm doing this, then the market's eventually going to do this. And where's my change of character in this scenario? It's right here. They're
Right there at the
changing the
bottom.
behavior. Now they're making higher high here. It doesn't mean the market's going to explode. It's just telling you, hey, we're stalling here for a little bit. We're no longer making lower highs and lower lows. And this is where you can expect, especially, let's say if you're in a downtrend, right? Let's say here you're going down, you can expect them to go, let's say, to the previous day high or current day high to clean up the liquidity created, especially if these moves are getting tighter, compressed. They clean up the liquidity, go to the day's high, and you can exit there. As soon as you get a change of character, it's telling you that demand is getting overwhelmingly strong. They will take out the suppliers and go long. And lately, you guys have probably seen them doing this a lot, where out of nowhere you get these spikes in the price. And here's what. I just want to make sure I'm on ES. I was on SPX earlier the whole time. So if you guys look at this concept right here, we have a higher high, right? We put in, there's a nice imbalance that happens here. There's some here. Lower highs, lower lows, really, really compressed move. Where's the change of character here? At what time does it happen?
Around the 2 o'clock.
Right here?
Yeah, a little bit more to the right, I would say.
To the right? Here?
Like 2:30. Sorry, 14:30.
This right here? That's too late.
Okay.
That's too late. So let's follow the trend. So you have. Oh my mouse is very sensitive. You have higher high, lower high, and then you have a lot of compression, like a lot of tight movements. I'll give them this one. And then what happens?
Right there.
Yeah.
Where's the change of character?
The peak between the 13 and 13:30.
Now you got it. So now if you struggle to see it, does this make it easier?
Yeah.
Some people struggle with seeing candles as a picture, right? So now if you see this as a mountains, well, this mountain got peaked above with a nice candle, right? Meaning we changed. When I say if it wicks over it, I say it's not valid. I don't know if you guys remember that. If the wick only is the one that breaking, that's invalid. Now, if you look at this, right? If you look at this here, there was an imbalance. I would say this is a decent imbalance candle right here. What you can target is they will come back and they will hit this candle here, and then they will proceed to go higher. And if you look, that's exactly kind of what happens here. They went higher and they broke. If you don't trust buying the bottoms, that's okay. You don't have to catch every bottom. Here you see them again. They're making and they put in another, lower high, and they take this one out. This imbalance candle here, they took that out. They proceeded. They had a nice little boom, and they brought it back into here, meaning they brought back right above that imbalance candle here. And look, they popped, and then here's the imbalance candle. So now you took out this change of character worked here. You had a nice imbalance candle here, and then you went over, and then you had another imbalance. Well, one can just grab this candle right here and go along as you come back for a retest and proceed higher. You change the character, you can grab it here. If they give you this is not a common thing that they do, an imbalanced candle right from the bottom and dip below. Usually they should not dip below here. And your stop loss should be slightly below. So in this case, maybe it would be stopped out, depends what kind of risk you have. But then if you see that they're creating, low volatility moves, if they do this, well, then just watch for the next imbalance candle and it'll happen again. Sorry guys, I was like, what the hell's that noise? It's my printer going off. Does that make sense?
Shorty, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So why do they?
If it's pertaining to this, yes. If it's not,
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Sure. It's Jed here. Why do they do that? Is that manipulation just for making it not easy? What's behind? Okay, there's a change of character, the mountain. Why do they manipulate it further?
Well, they need to make liquidity. If they want to move higher, they need to grab more shares. They don't want to make less profit. Their goal is to accumulate more now at cheaper prices to sell it higher. Think about yourself. Let's say here at this point, you're like, oh yeah, man, I bought a lot of PlayStations. You draw it up and you're like, yeah, man, there's people, willing to buy it here. Well, wouldn't you want to grab more? You want to fill up your warehouse. So then there's going to be people willing to buy it at different prices. They're just maximizing their profits. Right? On this time frame, on 3 minutes, they're maximizing profits here. That's all they're doing. And then if you look at, let me just add these. I'll add session break so I can know what day it is. So if you look, you need volatility, right? If the market's not really volatile, it becomes super duper hard to trade. And a lot of people like myself, I prefer volatility over, something that's just like this, where it looks, like it's going up or down, but it's a melt up or a meltdown. You don't prefer really that, right? So here in this case, if you guys look, we made a higher high right out of the open. There was some, aggressive sellers. If I go in 5 minutes, yeah, this day, higher high right out of the gate. What do you see? So there's a lot of sellers coming up, a lot of wicking. They come here, and this is something I covered with the person I did a one-on-one previously. Here, this is called also an open drive setup. So in between these candles, there's an imbalance here, and then there's an imbalance here. Do you guys see it? So here's your imbalance candle. You're looking for big candles or explosion candles, right? The ones that expand the market and it creates volatility into the market. And if you look here, that's exactly what happens here. Here, they brought it down. They created an IBL, IBH, and then you see the demand is being, a supply is being shifted. So here's your supply right here. They popped it, they brought it in. You don't necessarily have to short this right here, guys. There's no reason for you, if you're not ready to short at 10:30, that's fine. You don't have to short it. This is a nice move. If you're comfortable shorting this is your entry. If you go on smaller time frames, where's this day now? If you go on smaller time frames, and let's say you want to short this, how would you short it? Well, you look at this, you have equal highs on the top. You bring it back here into this, I would say, supply that we identified. And then again, you're making equal highs here. You don't have to necessarily short the tops. You can wait for a confirmation where the character actually changed, right? So here you had, you made a higher high, you made a higher low, and then this is where your character changed to the downside, this candle right here. I'm only on 1 minute, guys. This is where your change of character happened. Do you guys agree? So it's tight, higher high, higher low, and then equal highs. And then now you have lower highs and you made a lower low. You guys see it?
Yeah.
If this is the lower low that changed the character, then now all I have to do is look for the imbalance where they either enter on that imbalance and your stop loss would be about high here. So you have 6 points risk here. Or even on if you're comfortable using 1 minute, you could do the same thing. Here's your higher highs, higher lows. You break this level here. Next time you come back, either this candle right here or this candle is your candle that you're looking for shorting. You broke, you brought back the imbalance, and look what happens here. Even if you shorted this, guys, you would have been okay. This is your candle. If the wick is bigger than the body of the candle, use the wick. If the body is bigger than the wick, use the body. Does that make sense?
Can you show that again in the mountain style? It really helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the mountains. The mountains, they came back, right? They made lower highs, mountains. Here on the bullish side, right? This is where they changed character on the bullish side. You see this? They changed it here. They said, hey, we want to go a little higher, and then they brought it back inside. If you wanted to play this long, that's fine. I would prefer to play a short after the sell-off. Then they compressed and they sold it and they brought it back to this peak. And here you're looking for an entry. You can enter with the stop loss as soon as you come in here, or you can wait for a confirmation in 1 minute that you see a lower high and a lower low break. And you can short there or on a retest of the same. Sometimes if it's, early in the day, you can wait for the retest. If it's later in the day, the odds of that retest kind of reduce just because, time, price, volume. Yeah, the time is regulating the market based on opportunity. If you're running out of time, the opportunity for you is less and less. Therefore, sometimes you just have to pull the trigger and know this is your stop loss right here. So if I'm entering on an entry and this is my stop loss, then the target is either this one or this one, whatever you prefer. If it's the low of day in this case, this would be your trade that you're looking 5-5. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And this, guys, this repeats a lot, right? I mean, let's see, NQ maybe. I don't trade NQ much, but let's see. So here's your NQ. I would say same concept here, but let's see. Higher high, then lower highs. And here you see that they did not break the, well, actually it's different than ES. You see that here they did not break this like they did on ES. Remember that mountain peak that happened between 3 and 3:30?
Yeah.
You guys remember, or do I have to go back?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay. They did not break it on this. So where's your change of character here?
Right above the last peak.
So it's your change of character really breaks. They're breaking it right here.
Right there, yeah.
So if they're breaking it that right there, then you're looking like, hey, from which demand did you break this? Well, they congested the crap out of it. Remember, I'm on 1 minute. Let me kind of switch to my normal time frame. If I was to look at this, this is where you break it. I would expect them on 3 minutes, they can come back to this candle here or the previous candle that causes the imbalance, which is, this is a really, really nice imbalance candle. So if they're breaking this one here, I would look for either demand right here. And you see them again, they're wicking to the previous equal highs. Or in this case, they should have, I would say probably this one here. And here I'm grabbing the whole wick and the body just because the wick is bigger than the body. And now this will be the entries, right? If this is my entry here, you get stopped out, and that's okay. I'm not teaching you to be perfect. I'm teaching you to manage your risk. If this is the entry, that's great. You got stopped out. And here, just because there's not a lot of imbalance, you have an imbalance candle here as well, and it's really, really tight. They accumulated, and this here seems to be manipulation that happens on NQ right here, just to close higher. But this will be your entry, and this will be your entry for long. This is your break of equal highs right here. So if I was to go personally long, if I was trading this live, if you look at this, what is also this line here? This equal highs lines, what is this?
Change of character.
And it's an SR flip. You're going from being a support, right? So if you go here,
To resistance.
so this is your support, you bounce, 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 you reject it, and then you hop over it, and look where you land. So this is a true SR flip, and you guys know, even in my teachings, I care about SR flips a lot. If there's an SR flip and you're printing a hammer on it, like, you know, here they're printing a hammer really high on it, that's a pretty bullish setup. So now, let's say tomorrow, where would you guys want to go along here?
Right as it's coming down to test that SNR, left 15, 18.
So most likely you will get a bounce, I would say, if they play by any sort of rules tomorrow or tonight at 6. Just watch this level tonight at 13,138. They should come back here, fill the void, imbalance right here on this side. And it might be a little bit of a battle because, you know, during regular hours, they consolidated here. They consolidated. Oh my God, come on, mouse. They consolidated here and they did what from here? They sent it lower. I don't know how the volume was. The volume here was pretty good. At 3 o'clock, they sent it lower and then they defended the SR and then they manipulated. So if I wanted to play a bounce, I should play a bounce here, but this is a heavy congested area here. You have accumulation that starts from 2 to 3 and then they go down. They bounce on the SR flip and then they took out the supply. So you can't ignore it, you know, even if it is last hour, I have to respect them for taking out the supply. They went above it and they're still above it. So if they, you know, if you see 13,172, I would personally not short it from here to here. I would look to go along here just because you took out the supply and you made a higher high. So that means somewhere here, you're going to wait for these buyers to see if they're valid, and I would go along with them and buy it from here. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because if they're to come here, that would mean they're making lower lows. Because that would mean here, if I grab this tool, if I was to grab this tool here, let's say on macro moves, you see them here, they're making higher lows, right? Higher lows and higher highs in this case, and they took out the supply. So this becomes pretty valid on 3 minutes. But that doesn't mean, you know, hey, this is a bulletproof. You cannot ignore other time frames. I do suggest, you know, if you're more risk averse, use 30, 15 minutes to find these imbalanced candles. So that way, you know, hey, what the hell is going on? So if you look, for instance, here, you know, unfortunately, there's a gap down here, but here's this candle. From this candle to up here, let me just extend this to the right. Look what happens here. So they closed with this candle at 4 o'clock, and then we gapped up. And look what happened then. They drove it back up here, and then basically they dumped from this. What would happen if they take this demand, let's say tomorrow? I'm sorry, if they take over this supply tomorrow, what do you expect to happen? Well, I would want to go on 30 minutes. If I know this is a key level, I want them to change this character here, change the break of structure here, because you're already making higher highs, higher lows. Now they gotta break this. If they break this here, which is also untapped liquidity and a failed auction, if they break this, then we're looking for an entry on a pullback. And a pullback entry could be right here at 13.2 for the bulls. Okay. Otherwise here, I mean, you have some heavy selling, you have a huge imbalance candle here that's not gapping down, which is right here. Look. So you're still in a major supply. So your risk is what? That you might have other time frame sellers come in and destroy your long, and they might not even make a higher high and break the structure. You don't want to go long from here to here. You have no business being long from here to here because you're going to get destroyed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're going to be using for intraday, I would say 30, 15, and use 3 or 2 minutes for your entries. If you're using 1 minute, you'll add a little bit more risk to your trading overall. So I would suggest that you guys play it, I would say, differently and make sure that, you're protecting your capital in that case. Does everybody understand the break of structure and change of character? Remember, break of structure is a continuation. Change of character is meaning that you're reversing the previous structure or previous breaks of structure. So if you're going down and you're getting a peak, like if you're going down like this, and then you're getting this, well, this is your change of character right here. And then you're starting to look for the demand that took out this high. So in this case, it would be this demand, and you're trying to find the imbalance where it happened. Once it pops to there, you can go long. And remember, this is just price action trading with no indicators besides volume. Okay. So let's see, let me go back on ES. I don't know how to go back in time, but let's find a day where, yeah, there's some volatility here. So here's volatility on this. Let me find that day now again. There's none here. I'm trying to find it. Look at these. It's been compressing a little bit. All right, let's take a look at this one. This one had decent. I'll highlight this just so I don't lose it. Okay, we go in 3 minutes. All right. So here's this. So really tight open. If you guys look at it, we learn, or we know how to gauge the opens, right? From initial balances, compare it to the previous days. If you take a look at this on 3 minutes, there's a couple of ways you could have played it, right? So the initial balance, the open high is here. And then you'll be able to find entries using the candles or imbalanced candles here. So if you go, let's see, where the hell did it go? Right here. If you switch to this time frame, let's say 2 minutes here, this is the lowest I would probably ever trade. Now you look at the candles. Where's your candle in volume balance candles, right? So if you look here, you go down, there's one bearish one here, right? So you could take a bearish attempt here, but you're trading right before the 30 minutes here. So there's a lot of opposites that can happen. Now you see, you're dipping. You have a lower high, lower low, and here's where you change the character, I would say, on smaller time frames. This is your change of character. This is where you're coming in and you're like, hey, I think this is good. We're going to try to change the character here. So how do you know where's your entry? Well, look at the candle before the imbalanced candle. If this is our imbalanced candle here, this one right here is our imbalanced candle. The candle before, in this case, you got to grab the whole thing and then draw it to the right and look at your entries. So if this is where they created an imbalance and they bring it back, look at this entry here. You take this entry, put your stop loss below, you could target the previous structure high here and you would have nailed that, right? It would have been pretty good for, let's see how many. Come on. So almost 3-to-1 trade, and I don't see a reason why you would not take that, even if it's choppy here. You had the imbalance, it happened, you found a candle, and it popped higher. So this would have been a good entry for shorting. I'm sorry, for going long. In terms of shorting, if you guys look here, I'm just moving to the left here because there I just noticed some nice imbalanced candles. If you look here, there's a lot of wicks, a lot of absorptions happening in terms of the orders. So if I go here, this candle alone, you guys see this giant candle here, and look at the volume that happened. And this is right at close. So if I do this and I draw it, and let's see, I extend this to the right. Here's this one. They created liquidity, they come back and look, boom. They're giving you another entry for a shorting opportunity, right? And usually when this happens, you can target the, I would say the low of the day where that happened. So in this case, let's see if this one here worked out. So this one here failed and they really never came back. So, but I believe they will eventually come back to this 39.50, and there's a VPOC on ES there. So in this
Shorty?
case,
Sorry, when you say created liquidity, it means that they left orders standing there waiting because of the hasty. What do you mean
no.
created liquidity?
So this is your liquidity creation. Anytime you're creating lower highs and lower lows and you're compressing without a trend, that means you're creating a liquidity for a move to happen. So in this case, like this right here is a liquidity creation where they're creating liquidity. So most traders, I would say the retailers, they trade opposite always of the market makers. So when they're coming here and they're looking for long, the market's like, okay, well, I'm gonna sell it here. Then they get stopped out. They took the money from them, creating liquidity. When they want to go short here, and the market makers are coming in, right? They go short here and more are added on the short side. Look, the markets are like, okay, never mind. We'll take your money from here and then we'll sweep the whole liquidity, and they destroyed the whole liquidity that was created here. They swept the liquidity to make sure whoever's willing or a big buyer or seller has enough for the big sale or purchase. So if you're selling PlayStations, let's say they're like, okay, I need to acquire many PlayStations at these levels because I have a buyer that wants to buy a lot. Well, this dealer here or local is like, okay, well, I'll buy your PlayStation here. I'll buy your PlayStation here. He keeps buying it. And then the locals like, or the hedge funds like, hey, I want all the PlayStations. Well, if they didn't create liquidity, if they didn't acquire the shares at these levels, would they be able to fulfill the orders of the big guy?
No.
Probably not, right? And the big boys don't come in and it's like, hey, give me 5 PlayStations. They're going to come in and be like, hey, give me 1,000 PlayStations. So now they're creating liquidity to fulfill the order that's coming in. Okay. So then once they create the liquidity, and even now, if you think about a 1 hour, I'm just going to hide these lines. If you think about 1 hour, so there was liquidity created here the whole time from, let's say, February 2nd, lower highs, lower highs, lower lows, and then a trend change happens, right? So I would say on 1 hour, I would say the trend change happened somewhere around here. So they broke this on ES. They broke this on ES, and look, here's your buyer somewhere around here. He had a nice imbalance candle, and we still haven't tapped the imbalance that he had from the order. I would say right there. So eventually, once we come back to 39.50, I would say that's a perfect buying opportunity because it's going to be coming back right into this imbalance. This is the imbalance that broke the structures, that putting higher highs right here. So here's your lower lows. My mouse is just off. I don't know why. Sorry, let me delete that. I don't know why it's behaving. So here, they're just creating liquidity. They had an imbalance here on a sell-off, lower highs, lower lows. And here's your break. This is your change of character. They broke it. And right below that, there's an imbalance and what you're expecting to tap. Made a higher low, lower high again.
Shorty, and they will always come back.
They
to
have to
that
fulfill the
imbalance?
orders. Yeah, they will usually fulfill that and come back.
no matter how long it takes, they will always come back.
Yeah, of course. Longer time frames, longer time periods to come back to it. It takes longer time to manipulate the market, to acquire the shares that are needed or whatnot, right? So you have to understand if you're, what trend are you in? On bigger picture, I would say lower high. You're still, let me go 7 days. On 7 days, you still haven't really broken, the bearish bias. Lower high, lower high here, and then you wicked, and you're still wicking here, right? Above to see if you can break this. So this level here, what is it? 41.80.
Yeah.
If you're able to close on, let's say, a weekly above this, you're changing the behavior of the market. Because we still haven't closed above this, right? Not a single week went above this week line that I just drew here. So once you break this line here, you're changing the character of the market, right? And then you could be looking to start making higher highs. But as of right now on the weekly, you're in a trend down. On 3 days, I would say same thing. You haven't broken the trend on 3 days. On daily, so on daily, you had some higher highs. You put in lower highs. Here's your change of character on this one. So on the daily, you change the character here. You guys see it? Lower high, lower high. Lower high gets taken out.
Yeah.
That gets taken out here. There's your imbalance candle. Look at the imbalance candle here. You want to pick up the previous candle on that, and look what they did. They went higher. Where did they come back? They actually had a nice accumulation here, and they went higher here. Then they, of course, I'm just going to add piece of volume profile here. What did they do? They came back right to the accumulation point here, to the demand zone where the imbalance was, and poof, they went higher. And so far, if you just look for the bearish signs, right, there's a big old imbalance right here. And it seems like they've tapped that one, right? They already fulfilled some of it. I would say here, you guys see that? Big candle imbalance, sell off. They're already, kind of above this one. So this becomes your playing zone. This becomes your range. If they're able to break this, retest, then they could probably target that, supply that's sitting and resting right here, which is what, 4,300? So breaking 4180 kind of gives you about 42, I would say 60, 70, 80 targets based on this. But then we would also need to find the imbalance candle, look for the pullback and go long unless you're chasing. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Jet, does that help?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Where you drew that the last imbalance, is it like a fair value gap?
No, I'm grabbing candles. The fair value gap's what ICT does. He looks for the
Oh,
imbalance
that's a.
to
Oh,
be
okay.
fulfilled. I'm only grabbing the candle before, because usually, irrelevant of the time frame, a candle before is the balloon. The can that implodes is the result of the previous candle.
Oh,
I think ICT would call that the rejection block, what you just described,
Yeah.
where your arrow is.
Which one?
An
Where you
order
just
block?
were. The green rectangle. Yeah, up
Oh,
top.
yeah. No, well, I call this an order block as well. This is a bearish
It-
order block. But the
right.
reason I care about the previous candle, this is the result of the accumulation. This candle here is where they absorbed. This is where they absorbed their intentions. Right? To say this is the candle for the reason why you dumped, it's not. This candle did not carry volume on itself. This is them accumulating the orders here. And this one is like, hey, we're going to break this level here of consolidation and go down. And people call this, yes, the bearish break order right here.
Why do you call it an order block?
I don't call it order block. It's been called order block
Okay.
forever. I would call this right here. To me, this is just an accumulation with the break to the downside. And every strategy that I've known, whether it's Wyckoff or whatnot, this is them breaking a zone where they grab the shares, they're accumulated, you had a selling climax, and you dumped from it. This candle one is the breaks the accumulation. So it becomes important level, which is this one here, the black line. Hey, this is the order or a line or a single daily candle that broke it. That means there was an order here that triggered the price discovery below this level. Remember, somebody has to go over the price above or below and discover, hey, what are we doing here? So this was a price discovery daily order here that went below and they tested the waters below it. Just like I tell you guys, don't be the first one to the price discovery. You don't ever want to be the, the guy swimming in the ocean and you're just a tiny little dot. You let the other sharks swim, and then eventually, as they come, let's say to this accumulation here that we had, you can expect a rejection. I personally think we're going to 42.68. So I think we're going somewhere like right here. And from there, I think, on higher time frames, you enter some more swings, but I'm already in swings here. Okay, so this is an important level on a daily time frame. I haven't checked weekly on something like this. So here you have, I would say, quite a few. You have one here as well that was mitigated, was fulfilled. This is the only one that hasn't been fulfilled yet, I would say, here on weekly. So it'd be somewhere around here, and this is our candle. So this is your weekly supply zone and your daily supply zones. I don't know what's wrong with my mouse. This would be the levels that, if you're able to take this out, which is that, again, the 4,300 level that we've had for some time. If you're able to kind of break above here and hold it, don't lose that level. I think that the market sentiment would shift. This would be a really nice shift in the sentiment, from the weekly, and that's the higher time frame I look at the market on. You can look at the monthly, but then, you're just, it's usable, but it's really not if you're a day trader. I mean, I understand the monthlies, but I'll look at it, but I won't action too much off of it. Because off of monthly here, what do you grab? I don't know. What the hell you grab? This level was, I guess, important here, and that's where we are at 41.30. It's just good to see, but for me, anything weekly and below, I look at supplies and demands. Like for instance, the demand for me is, this is where you had an imbalance candle right here. You popped, you came back right to it, and now you're stuck between these levels. So 37 and let's call it 42.80 or so.
Yeah, and May is coming too, so seasonality also, right? Bearish.
Of course. Yeah, of course, may go away. So everything's lining up for a pullback in this world. You're coming up to a supply. You see the volume here is dying down, right? And then you look at the selling volume as you're picking up, here. I would say it's not really bullish volume anomaly here. It's more bearish volume anomaly here. I wish this candle here carried more volume because that would tell me a bigger absorption happened, but they did not. So let's see now if they trap more longs, because if they take this out here, I am pretty positive if they break 4,200, I mean, they're going to catch a lot of fish if you break 4,200, and they're going to be expecting then 4,300, and they might even give them 4,300 with a peekaboo, and then something bad happens news-wise and they take it down. Market makers are always going to do opposite of what the retail's doing. I would say 99% of the time. That's why there's only 1% that's successful. So if you start on weekly, look for these imbalances candles, and then just pay attention which ones are mitigated. I mean, I would say when we started this, I guess January here, look at this, how well this was played out. Big old candle, and how quickly did they trap bulls here? A giant candle. I mean, this is a massive candle here on the weekly, almost as massive as this one here, right? And it didn't have as much volume, but and they pull it up and look where they run into. Right into that supply where this guy sold off. And this is, I guess, I don't know who was speaking, but this was your order block at this level that broke this consolidation here. You see that? And then, of course, they made lower highs, lower lows. Here, they changed the character a little bit on the weekly, right? They put in a higher high, but they rejected right there. And I would say, if somebody asked, this was your FVG here on the weekly. This, let me change the color so I can reference it. Yellow line is your weekly FVG, if I got that correctly. And between this one and this one, this is your imbalance fair value gap or whatever it's called. That means there's not a lot of volume here. If you're to go volume by price, volume profile, you would not see much here. So this is a gap protection as well. And they put in a new lower low here. So this supply created new lows. That's something to note. And now you're consolidating here. Either there's a seller here really, has a lot to sell and they're bringing the price back up. They're bringing buyers in because remember, Jet Starter, if this guy has a lot to sell, we got to bring in people to do what?
To buy.
To buy.
To buy. So the way the market makers do it is they give you consolidation, then they give you news. They're like, hey, did you guys see the AI? Yeah, we saw the AI, man. Oh yeah, there's a great. And they run semis. And then it's like, oh my God, Tesla dumped 100 here. Man, did you see about Tesla sales? Yeah, Tesla sales, great. And they keep giving you news till people FOMO and they're like, man, I missed the run. Let me buy now. And they slowly get you here. Could they also have done where they go like this? They can do this. But what will happen to their liquidity? If I did this here so fast, how many are willing to buy right here on this straight shot?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. They need to they need to bait you a little bit. It's almost like if you go fishing. If you throw in a reel and you just poof and pull it back, what are the odds of you catching a fish?
Nothing. None.
What do you have to do? You go a little bit, pull it, a little bit, pull it, and then eventually you get a little bite. And when you bite, then you speed up and you pull it. Here, they're just baiting. They threw a reel in, they caught a little bit, they release. They caught, they pull back, they release. Now they're manipulating the market as they call it. And when I say manipulating, I'm not saying they're lying or negative. It's just a word that they use. Manipulation, right? There's an intention behind every move they do. And in this case, to me, it looks like, they're compressing for a move. And if they come here, this is the supply that they're potentially targeting. And not on this yellow line, kind of weird. Yeah, so they're targeting to offload somewhere here. And I've talked to you guys before, if you're on the news, there are some hedge funds when they speak, they're like, yeah, we're looking for 4,300 to exit. Well, I mean, if they reach 4,300, just think logically, right? Come on. From 4,300, do you think this is a down market, 10%? No, that means from the all-time highs, guys, it's only down 10% at this point. Right now, the market's not, as bad as people think. This is only down 12%.
So you mean
Yeah.
there's plenty of room to the downside?
There's a lot more room to the downside. Somebody saw something here and they're like, hey man, when they do price discovery, when the hedge funds do price discovery, they don't want to be, remember everything. I'm trying not to shift into the values because it's all about value. Do you think a hedge fund that controls billions of dollars on their AUM sees value here at 10% discount? This would be 10% discount here. How many of you would have bought PlayStation if the discount was from 1,500%, 10%? Would you guys buy it?
No.
No.
I'd wait for it to be.
You would wait for a fair price. If MSRP is 500,
Yeah.
if you got 10% of 500, maybe that would be a decent price.
They can get half that in the money market.
Yeah. I mean, there's no value. Their discount, well, here's your 50% of the run up, right? And look where they bounced it. there was some buyers at this level. I might just have to go get a mouse. Look where we bounced the last time. And this is just basically your fib. I just have a little box that does it. If you go here to here, they came to 50% the retracement of this run up, right? So they're like, yeah, maybe we can buy some from here. So this run up here was, let's call it, 2,600 points. So they took a half of, they're like, yeah, that's not bad. Well, if you take the half of this run up now, if you take the half of the half, where are we now?
Holy shit. Wow. Wow.
We're at the discount area of that one, right? Here, they're gonna be paying premium. They're gonna be paying premium in this area. Do you really think they're gonna pay premium? No, only retail pays premium. So if they go up here, I'm not willing to buy here. Sure, am I gonna miss a run of NVIDIA, a run of Tesla? That's okay, I'll miss it. But I promise, I also wait and I also succeed many times in just waiting and being patient, like AMD here. We waited for, I don't know, there's a bunch of examples. This one, Oxy, did we wait for this one here? Where was that? Remember, it was like somewhere around here we bought it. I don't know what the exact entry was a long time back, but we got Oxy at a good price. We got that one. I think some of you guys are, didn't some of you buy here on this one? You wait and you get a deal, but the goal of them is to manipulate you to put greed in you when we're at the top and put fear in you when we're at the bottom. And why would they do that? Jet, this is your answer. This is your time. Why would
they would put greed at the top, so I would buy and they would flush.
Exactly. They need to sell to somebody.
Yeah.
And they put fear on the bottom so that you're not competing for the product. If you are buying the PlayStation at the bottom and they're buying PlayStation at the bottom, they can't get enough PlayStations. So what do? They send a fear tactic. They know they can control your emotions. And if you think they can control my emotions, they can control everybody's emotions. And many times, and even Friday, right? I don't know who was live or not. What did we do when we arrived at that 39.40 level? I don't know if you guys remember that trade. I think Bean might have been, but me and a few others. At this level here, what did we do here? You guys recall?
We got into calls. Yeah, we got into calls.
We got into the calls here. And what do you think the retail was doing here?
Shorting
They're
the whole.
selling.
They're shorting. And then I think Sith, I don't know if he's on or not. He's probably asleep. He said, why are you going long there, man? Look at the candles. I remember him saying that.
Yeah.
I said, just watch. And then that's when TJ missed his opportunity to triple his account.
So what was the reason, Shorty, the corresponding candle to the left? That level? Oh.
I think this was lower at this time. It was 41.39, I believe, when somewhere around here. No, it was, I'm sorry. I have to repeat it. This was the high. No, this was the level. I thought it was a little bit lower at Bean. I thought it was 41.43. I thought it was here.
But yeah,
That
it
we
is
had
the
it.
correspondent.
Somewhere around there, there was a volume accumulation at that time, and maybe different time frame that I was on or something. Let me make sure. Anyways, there we had a POC and we said if you're shorting, we actually were short, and I said we were exiting here. I don't know if you guys recall. Yeah, it was 48. I'm sorry, it was 48. I remember now. It was 48 level. We said as this is coming up, I remember 48 now in my head. I got the memory a little bit. I said if we short this, I'm getting out at 48. Do you guys recall that, Bean? I don't know. Keep me honest. I'm pretty sure it was 48.
It was like 47, 48.
Yeah, and we said we were getting short. We were looking for long here, and then I believe here we grabbed 41.35's calls, and 35 calls went. I don't know. They went like at least 1,000% from here. And that was the same concept, right? I know where, intraday where the value was. Here, let's say you broke the structure, you changed the character, you're coming back. You also had that, candle imbalance, and here's your imbalance candle, and look what they did. So now you can combine a little bit of price action and logical reading along with volume profile. I'm sorry, I cannot trade without volume profile. I can trade. You can take everything away from me. Just don't take this thing away from me. It's almost like a baby pacifier for me. Take whatever you want. Just leave that. Leave this and I'll be okay. You can even take the bottom. This becomes bread and butter along with candles and reading this market, right? So you had an imbalance that occurred, and then we came in and we accumulated heavily here. You took out this seller, right? If you guys look, this seller here that was there, that was trying to push the price back down. I'm trying to highlight these two candles highs. You took this guy out, and look at this. I remember us saying here, if you guys remember what we said on this candle? TJ should remember this one really well. TJ, come on, I need you to speak up. I know it hurts. TJ made money on this, bud. He's still mad.
Absorption.
This was our stopping volume candle, and we said if it breaks this candle here, I remember saying this clearly and loudly. We said if it breaks the top of this candle, we're gonna run like crazy. And then we took off, and then they exploded higher. You guys recall that Friday live?
Yeah, I remember you telling the load up calls.
Yep, and that worked out beautifully, right? And then we were also short here. I forgot the contract. I'll have to look at the transactions, but the contracts were $280, and those contracts on this dip went to like $13. I forgot. Maybe it was 41.35 puts. I don't know. I think it was.
You called out a few of them, Shorty. It was 41.35, 41.20s.
Yeah, I don't know which one. One of those. I mean, they went from 280 to about $13, and then we reversed. We got into the calls and we played the long side of it. But it was just the concept of literally what we just kind of went over. The price action, they broke the structures here, right? And whenever you see something like this, where, you're going down, but do you see a lot of imbalanced candles making new lows? No, not really, guys. This is just a nasty price action. If I scroll up, well, there's stuff here, right? If I look up here, well, tomorrow, what do you think we're going to wait for? We want to see how you react to these levels right here. You had a reaction, you have a secret supply here. So there's a high chance, you're going to come back and compress, just like you're compressing on a weekly jet to get to that 4,300 level. There's a seller here. They're going to check that order to make sure it's balanced. From imbalance, they're going to be like, hey, everything got here, everything equal. They're going to do that tomorrow. They're going to be looking to come here. And on 3 minutes, this candle is really, really huge. Let's see. So somewhere around here, they're going to be coming. I promise they're going to be interested in coming here tomorrow. If they don't, then I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. They're going to be interested to drive the price up to here and see how this seller was filled. If there's stuff missing, then he's going to sell it more and aggressively sell off right there. Okay, and then if I add something here, let's say look at 2 minutes. If I add volume here, I know 41.86 might be a little bit of problematic tomorrow for these boys. So just watch tomorrow. We have 19 points to kind of grind up. And as we arrive, they might even do this pre-market tonight where they grind up to this level. Would I short here? Yes, I would short here. If you're waiting for a setup, then, as we come here, see higher high, see them make a lower high, the break of that lower low, you could definitely enter that. That means you're entering the supply, took over the demand, and you can go short. Does that make sense? What I just explained? That's a pretty important concept.
Can you repeat it, please? Slowly?
Yeah, so we know this level here is fairly important, 41.85. This is where accumulated and you dumped. The yellow zone is your price naked chart while your supply here, yellow. If you don't want to short this immediately as it happens here, means you tap and you enter short, then you wait. Let's say you switch to 1 minute or 3 minute candles, and the price will do something like this. I don't know exactly what's going to do, but let's say they tap here. You can enter short here, or let's say they make a higher high here, then they make this, and then they do this. This is your sign that they're going lower. They're breaking, supply is taking over. The change happened. Up until here, you're making higher highs and higher lows. Now you have a lower high, right? Lower high compared to here, and you have a higher low, and this one takes out. Then remember, 1 minute, this happens fairly quickly. If this is our change of character line, right? You can get in here, put a stop loss above this zone here that we are in, or there's going to be an imbalance candle somewhere. I don't know exactly where it will be, but if they're sellers, let's say they give you an imbalance somewhere around here. You come back, hit it, and then you take a short and you drive it. I'll probably drive it here, 4160s or so. I think there's a 2 sigma sitting at 4160 here. Does that make sense? You don't have to
Yep.
blindly take the POCs and VPOCs. What I'm trying to tell you is a better way if you're, really risk averse. You can enter this, but you have to expect that their goal is to manipulate it and get you out. So they can peak above it and that will get you out. And then when you get out, they dump. And many times people are like, man, I wish I would have held, or they took off right as soon as I sold. And those are the statements that come in and bite over and over and over because people don't understand the behavior. Okay. Does this make sense?
This is very eye-opening, Shorty. Thank you very much.
Good. Does everybody understand the difference between breakout structure and a change of character? It's very important that you guys understand it.
Yes, but would you please repeat it?
Yeah. So let's take a look at it again I'm trying to get away from these days where we have these weird, what's a quick command, TJ, to go back in a day or somewhere? I want to go back like 21. I want to look at this. Does anyone know? No.
Quick command would be on the left bottom. You see to the right. Yep. Choose a date. Yep.
Let's go.
And if you look on top, you can choose a custom range of dates.
I want to go at like 21 somewhere. I don't care where.
And you're still on regular trade hours.
Yeah, I want regular. I don't care about the volatility. Let's go here. So, all right. I guess this is this time frame. No, it's 22nd. Maybe this is what I asked for. Did I ask for this? Sure. So now if you look at, oh, holy crap, this is not what I wanted. This is a big sell. Let me do this. Let me find a day that corresponds with a little bit of volatility. Whenever you see these days where they're staying flat, it's just very difficult to trade, guys. I mean, look at this. This is crap here. This is not too bad here. You could trade it, but still not a lot of volatility. There's some here. This is pretty good here. This one is okay. Yeah, let's take a look at this one. That really did not do much. Okay. Opportunities will come, but you have to be ready for it. And you have to be able to recognize, where's the opportunity. I really don't know what's to the right. I have no fucking idea where I'm at. March 10th. So if you look here, there's an imbalance that occurred here. You guys see it? There's your candle. I'm only on 10 minutes. From here, I would say you have a higher high. You're putting in higher highs and higher lows. Your change of character, where does it happen?
When you stop putting high highs and higher lows.
In this case, it's here. I would say this is your change of character, and this is kind of where it's happening, right? You're no longer at this point putting higher highs and higher lows here. In this case, now you have a lower high between the candles, and now you just made a lower low, and it's a lower high, right? So there's two ways to play it. They will most likely find candles that initiated this imbalance, which is right here. Some people like to play the breaks and the retests of the lows. And if you look here, There's two ways to play it. It depends what kind of trader you are, and if you back test it, it has to align to your personal setups and I guess the personality that you have. If you're more aggressive, you get in here. If you're less aggressive, oh crap. If you're less aggressive, you would get into the yellow line. And here's this. I swear to God, I have no idea where we are and what's going on in price, but here's this. You came here. What did they do? They accumulated a little bit, and here's your entry, right? If you shorted this, this is your entry, and you can actually target either 50% or halves of the range that you're in. If I'm in this range here, I can target the bottom of it right here. Let me see if I can extend this to the right. Maybe not. You can target the bottoms of it, or you can target the 50% of it, right? Because that's where the buyers might come in because they find value. So if I shorted this here, I'm okay. And you can exit here. That means change of character happen. If the break of structure is happening, that's different. Break of structure means you're just continuing higher or lower from whatever you're starting. So let's say here, what level is this? So here's your higher high, lower high. Your break of structure is really just this right here. You're continuing, in this case, I guess lower here. So you had an uptrend. Now this is your break of structure here. And now you're continuing lower. Here's your next low here. You can use probably this one here so you're not confused. That's another break of structure here. Right? And then once you break this low here, here's your another break of structure that's happening. You're continuing, just going lower. Break of structures means continue lower. Here, they would have, they completed a flip, change of character. And, you see them popping higher. They failed to hold as well. And then they went lower. Then they continued break of structure. Here's your next low. So break of structure is just continuation. It's nothing else to it. They break it. And then you see them, here's your change of character. They broke this side here. The goal then is if this is a change of character where they broke, find the imbalance candle that did it. And in this case, it was this candle. Once you come to this candle here, I guess 38.60, you're expected to go long. And this is the level here that we haven't tapped. So you have this candle here, huge demand zone, I would say. If we tap here, I will be long here. Like I wouldn't, you can buy some swings, but this would be a good level to go long. Because if you think about it, from this imbalance, but look where we are, 4,200 almost. We went long ways from it. So this guy, whoever that order was, I'm pretty sure he's going to be looking for some sell points, considering he knows the all-time high to low, the premium is entering somewhere right around here, right? The 50% is in this area. So you can expect a sell. So does it make sense, Cuban or whoever asked about?
Absolutely.
So here's your higher highs, higher lows. Now you need to confirm that you're going to flip the character, change the character of the structure, and then you're looking for shorts. Right now, they're reversing this to go higher. And here's some levels that they're consolidated. Here's a miniature supply. If you guys look at this in detail, here's a supply right here sitting, right? And then you have a supply that's sitting, I would say, right here. So if you break this, high chance they're gonna rip it here. I don't look for long here. That's the difference. Some people look to be like, oh my God, we're gonna go long here. Sure. If I draw this here on the volume profile, what do you expect to be in this area?
Skinny belly.
Skinny belly. There's nothing here. There's barely any volume here. Of course, they're looking to sell that, but look at how about this guy here? Let me move this to here. Can I go along here? Yeah, but that's not my style. That's not my personality to go along here. Because at any point, if this seller is like, man, I don't see enough idiots to buy this up, what is this guy gonna do?
He's gonna flush it.
He's gonna flush it before it gets there. And I don't wanna know when this guy's gonna flush it.
No.
I don't wanna be part of the FOMO retailers driving up. You guys can hop in and buy it. I'll be here. I wait here, you guys drive it up. So tomorrow, simply, if I see that, I guarantee you they're gonna break this tomorrow. They're gonna try to break this tomorrow. They're gonna try to drive it up here. And that's fine, because I will most likely be short at this level here. And I told you guys a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I'm not looking to be a buyer at top of 2 and 3 sigma. I don't know how many times I've expressed this. On the bottom, I'm not looking to be a seller. On the top, I'm not looking to be a buyer. And here's our consolidation here from almost 15 days now at the top. You guys see it? So, and we know, and I know we're going into volume profile, but this is gonna be your, here's your 2 sigma here right now at 41.70. Do you really think Shorty is gonna buy here? Not buying here. Neither are they.
You-
They're not.
You're
gonna
gonna
be.
short the 3 sigma for higher
It's
probability.
gonna be between the two, correct? So there's
Hey,
gonna be
Yeah.
between the two
Shorty,
and
is your
here.
3 sigma up at 41.88 up there?
It's a 41, 84, 83-ish.
Okay.
So if this is my range for tomorrow, let's say this is our bottom, and this is just, and look what we've been doing. I mean, just look at the chart. Look where we are bouncing. Now you look at the 95, and here's my 95. So this is our 2 standard deviations. And that one matches again, the bottom one. So 2, 3 sigma on the bottom. And our initial sigma here, I think we're above it. So first standard deviation, we're above. And they broke it nicely, right? It looks like a nice break. We never came to this POC. On different periods of time, I don't know if you guys recall that watch list when I told you guys I changed in the middle of the night from 40.39 to 40.31. I don't know if you guys recall, but there is a nice peak here, right? If you guys see it, there is a nice peak at 41.39. I was able to get the volume POC to show up here a few times, but I tried this morning again and I could not get it to shift. So I'm sticking with 41.30, but I am noting that there's I would say a large shelf here. And you guys see that there's a nice little shelf being created here as well. So I would say, we're getting close to where we're going to find out which way we go. And if I was to play this, I think they want to tap some liquidities on top somewhere around here, and then they proceed lower. They need to lure more fish in. They need to create more liquidity. And here's our first sigma, 41.17, and then the POC, whatever you want to use between the two, but it looks like this 31 is huge. So this is our mean. This is your first standard deviation, first, second, and third. I'm not willing to buy here. Do you guys remember that 41.83 level at all? Anyone?
Yeah, you mentioned it last week.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it a lot. Not only last week. I think that's my sentiment shift for the market. So I would, I would expect that level to be very, very important moving forward. And just to kind of give you guys an idea why I say that. This is from 411 right here. This is our, measure this, prefer 41.90 if I want to see something long, and this is where we came. We came 41.89 and we could not crack above it. Right. So there's some sellers sitting here and there's a huge imbalance now here being created. And they're going to be driving towards the supply here, and I'll be waiting in 41.85ish. So there's my sigma here, 3 plus this POC. Then it gives me a little bit more reason to short. As you're driving this up, I'm going to pay attention to volume. Is there going to be some manipulation here to grab the liquidity? If they do grab the liquidity, which is right here at the top, this would be the buy side. If they grab the liquidity here, most likely what I would look for then is the setup of the lower highs and change of character, right? Where they do this. And you guys know I prefer them to break the POC and do what? Then they lose it. And this is where I'm interested, in shorting. So if they go above it, that means they're higher high. But if they go below it, that means they're what? They're making a lower high. That means
Lower
they're
high.
losing this level. So for me, that's indirect way of saying change of character happen and you put in a lower low and a lower high. That's why that's my preferred setup, if you guys did not figure that out by now. So this POC here, I love it when they break this. My preference play is break it, lose it, and then I short it. And then here, just regular profiles that we look at. I'll go on extended here. So if you look at this, what did they do here last hour and then even after hours? Anyone? What's it called?
Got them sold off. Like once they got above the shelf a little bit.
Well, last minutes they tried to push above the value area. That's called
Price
a price
spike.
spike. And when they do price spikes, those sessions need to be validated. But they were not able to close above Wednesday's POC where they had a push up. You had this massive run in a P shape where you did not find value. Supposedly you found value again here. How come you're not able to go above this level now? That's the interesting piece because you had somebody absorb them really quick here. They set up a trap here. You had you had a D shape and you explored price out of it. And what happened to the value? Did it follow? Not really. They stayed back and they brought it back inside. They closed inside the value and below the prior day POC, which is right here, Thursday. So I would say they tried to make it look like very bullish. They should have taken this out high here and closed above it here. They should have closed about 41.77, which would be probably 50% of this candle here, 41.73. So they really needed to close above this if they wanted to make any noise for over the weekend. So if they attempt again and they fail, then you know what time it is. There's a lot of selling. And this seller was able to take out this demand, fake demand from pre-market. And they did this identical setup before, if you guys pay attention. I will remove this so you guys see it. They did this identical setup here. Go back on your volume profiles and look at this. There's your sell. Here's your sell. They came back, consolidated, and they say, hey, look, guys, we're going to go higher. They sold. Hey, guys, look, we're going to go higher. And what happened? Watch this now if you don't think it's true. Where did they bounce it? Right here. Now you grab this. Where did they bounce it? Almost identical spot. 618 bounce, 618 bounce. Two identical setups here. Do you guys see it or not yet? Peak, sold. Now they're, here they brought it back inside. Let's see what happens.
Last time they were able to push it further relatively.
This one here?
The valley's set to the left, more left. No. In the middle.
This one here?
I'm just seeing the result from the valley before that.
Yeah, I mean, they did this identical setup the whole time here. I mean, I could go on. They did this setup right here. They pushed higher. They did this setup on a larger scale here. I think one of these is FM, the rates, maybe this one, Wednesday, yeah, this one. They pushed it higher, then they gapped down, and here's this one now. And so funny, you accumulated so much and you went up and somehow you sold off every time. Is there no buyers? And then they came here, the retail. So this is how they do it so well. They accumulated, they gap down, the retail doesn't see it's like, buy the fucking dip, bro. They buy the dip, they accumulate higher because they want to sell the price higher to you. They go higher and they're like, oh, thank you. And then they sell it off. And now, let's see, they're gonna maybe accumulate here, but this candle here on 30 minutes, not the best at the moment. Just not a lot of volume on it. Okay. Any questions on this?
I have a question. What's the difference between premium and well, actually, basically just what is premium? I kind of get it confused with a lot of stuff.
I'm selling a wine fridge right now. Would you buy it for $800?
No, it's too much.
You're not willing to pay the premium on it?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Shorty.
Why are you not willing to pay the premium?
It's just could get it way lower at a different time.
At a discount?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. That's premium and discount.
Okay.
So does this help? And there's multiple ways to trade price action. Like I said, you can look for change of character. I'm not saying learn how to trade the change of character and, you know, break of structure, but please spot it. At least know it. When, you know, if you guys look up a guy on YouTube called Tom Wood, he's a really good price action trader. I know him personally. He's really good. If you look him up, the way he trades price action is a little bit different than I would say most people. So if you look at a price action like this, he usually trades dailies. He doesn't look, trades daily structures, but you know, enters 5 minutes. So if you look at this, you know, the way he does it, let me find a trend somewhere where it's not consolidating. Let's say this is, you know, this is small trend here. So you're looking at this, they're going up. The way he trades this is he would go and look for the breaks and retest of these highs, meaning he's just using the liquidity retests and lows on the breaks for shorting. So if we're running up, I'm trying to find a nice trend. Let's use this here. So if this is my high trend here, he would say, hey, once you break this and you give me a retest, I would say 99% of the time he would go along here. And I used to trade that way as well. But I needed more confirmation because there's a lot of fake outs, right? So if I see that this is the low and this is the high, they're attempting here. They had a nice candle break, right? So here they come back into this demand and they go higher. He would go in on this candle here. So if I'm on 15 minutes, Wednesday, March 29th. Now getting back to that is a pain, yes. Oh, maybe I can do that thing that I just learned. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so now if you guys look on smaller time frames, what happened here? Remember, you're in a smaller time frame, so sometimes you will get a nice retest like this one. It's quick. He popped higher, they came back, and he would have bought that. And you go along, and then you target whether you're using fibs. If I was to use the fibs, I would use the previous low and high. And in this case, I would just need to change my fibs as I'm not using extensions on this. And I use only 2 for targets, which is this one and this one. So if I was to get in on the retest here, my target's blue line. And that would have, I would say that would have worked well. You hit it and you would have exited. So he looks for structures basically of this is a structure, previous structure high. This is the next structure that I need to break here. I'm just going to draw it to the right. And here's this. So here they break it. Nice volume, nice candle here. And he would have waited here somewhere and he would have got in on a retest of that. Maybe even, I don't know if I personally would not take this, but maybe some others would. But if you're patient enough, what happens?
It works out sometimes.
Say it again.
It works out when you're patient.
Yeah, this would have been here's your break. You came back, you went long, and he does this pretty much only trading the breaks of the highs and lows and retests. And it's not a bad strategy if you're new. It's going to test the hell out of your patience. But that's what makes you, in the long run, it makes you successful. If you're itching for a trade in here, you're an idiot. You're most likely going to lose your account 10 times and not really be successful in this game. And I mean, even if you look here, this is a pretty strong high here. You know, they wick, they break it, and then now, I don't even know if we retested this. Let's see, 40.90. And we came in 2 points away from it. I would say that's close enough. And then if you bought that from here, that would have yielded 41.35, and it targeted, I would say, previous high here, and you came in very close to your exit. So if you're just following, higher highs, consolidations, and retests, I think you can do great. And that happens a lot, guys, on every time frame. Whatever is your preference. Here's this one here. I don't think, well, we did. We broke above it, and here was your retest here on this candle. I would say they came back. They never really broke below it, and then they went higher. If you wanted to play tight, since you're on 1 minute, if this is your entry, you're aiming for 5 points on 1 minute, which is not bad on 1 minute candles. I mean, but you guys know that's for me. I don't care about catching 5 points on ES. Some do,
Shorty,
some don't.
may I ask another question?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you don't want to answer now on this lesson, you don't need to. You're short on Nvidia.
Mm-hmm.
So is it okay to talk about that?
Yeah.
So you're short on Nvidia. How do you? I'm guessing it's coming in from the longer time frames to the smaller time frames. How did you know that 280 was going to be tested with such confidence and that it's going to seek newer lows? And by the way, where do you see Nvidia going now?
Okay. So this was the setup that we had on the video. This was exactly the setup, 280.24. And then we also had a setup here, if you guys recall. We said there's a level above it. It was 300 and something. Was this level here? I said there's a chance that they're gonna break this. If they break this, they're going for liquidity above because there's a pool of liquidity here. And what I mean by that, let me give you a visual. Yeah, I think this is good. So if you look at this right now, every one of these that I grabbed, and I only grabbed to the bottom. So I'm looking at selling liquidities. So now there's a liquidity that's sitting right here, right? As soon as they broke above this POC right here, what does that tell you? What does it tell you once you reclaim a selling POC? Now look, they came to this POC, they broke above, and what did they do? They sold off, and then massive candle, they broke above. What does that tell you?
It means that there are people willing to pay premium.
They're going aggressive. They're taking out these
Yeah.
massive sellers here, and they took over. That means demand is much higher than supply here.
Yeah.
So if demand is higher than supply here, what do you think they do in search? What are they searching for? They're searching for next supply.
Oh.
Now they have this supply. They have this supply. And just pay attention to the price as we're doing this, how it responds. They're searching at this supply, and here's this supply. And then there's a supply here that hasn't been tapped. Every one of these other supplies has been cleared. Look, they came back, swept it, kept. Did they touch this supply ever since we left?
No.
And that's exactly what their target was. If they had clients that bought it up here, now they got to find sellers. They got to find, they want to drive this price from 100. They got to find people willing to buy at this level. So what do you see? You see fucking idiots like Kramer saying buy this stock right here. What a better way to pump the stock than somebody that has so much influence and so many idiots follow him, right? Even if, let's say there's 1 million people that follow him and everybody buys 10 shares.
Yeah.
It creates liquidity. And now, I mean, this is exactly where we shorted it, right? 280 was a good short. So now if you lose this supply, what happens?
Next supply.
You go to the next supply. And at some point,
Yep.
you're going to get a bounce. And that's where you can use, remember, that change of character price action. And you see where, and then you enter from there and you can play long. But for now, that I'm on daily. Zoom in. They hit the supply, I would say, to a penny. I don't know who else has 24 as a decimal, and they came in, what, 27 cents away from it? They came very close to it, and then they drove here, and then you see that they played a trick. here and they hit 50% probably right there on that, or a little bit higher. They hit that candle and then they really, really dumped it. And now they're still exiting their positions here. They're still working on exits.
Yeah,
As
because they can't dump it all because it will shift the price down. So they want to do it
Yeah.
slowly.
They
Yeah.
want to do it slowly so they don't hurt themselves. They want to get the max profits. Don't be surprised if they attempt to go above 280 soon. They will buy it. They will initiate buying here again in hopes they trigger more people to freak out. Because if they break this level, man, the retail, I already had a guy on Twitter say this is going 500 by end of year.
Yeah. I saw it.
Okay, well, if he is confident it's going over 500, he sees as 100% increase from here. But these people loaded up when they're telling you not to buy it at 100. So you have to understand, the buying and selling and the value. Do I personally see value at 280 here right now? When I look at the fundamentals and look at their inventory, look at their profits, where would I willing to buy? I'd be willing to buy somewhere around here. I'd be interested in 150s, and if they lose that, then I know I'll average somewhere around hundreds. But I wouldn't. If I buy at this level, my stop loss is somewhere, I would say 150s or so, because then they have a high chance to test the bottom. But I'm nowhere interested in buying shares in the video here. They can create NASA right now with chips. They can create another world with chips. I would not buy here. And that's okay. If I miss it, then I miss it. I'm not gonna not lose sleep over it. There's plenty of other stocks, right? But yeah, that's the reasoning behind this short. And then if you look at, something we do a lot, if I look at the combo, right? What am I missing? Apple. Well, if I look at the combo here, what looks are they giving to retail here on the daily? Every one of these looks like a bull flag, right? Bull flag here, bull flag here.
Yeah.
And then I look at this on the weekly. The green candles are buying candles on the bottom. What do you see on the weekly here?
We see decreasing volume.
But I thought you're going up. Shouldn't you be buying institutions? If institutions are buying, shouldn't the volume go up?
No.
Are you sure? If
Only
big
the
boys are
volume goes
buying,
up if the masses are buying.
if the hedge funds, if institutions are buying, they're the one with money.
Okay.
This volume should follow the price. If you're going up, the volume needs to go up because that tells me you're involved. But they're not really involved yet. They're gonna be involved.
So
here.
you're telling us the retailers are suckered into buying.
Yeah, that's why they release news. That's why there's
Yeah.
chat, whatever it's called. I forgot, AI or whatever. They're releasing different news. Microsoft, Chat GPT. But how come all of them are resistance right now when you're releasing these news? Oh, you're a resistance because somebody needs to sell and somebody needs to buy. Because a lot of retailers, they push their money out. They're sitting on cash and they're like, man, we need to get them out of the cash. And especially now with the banks, they really are sitting on physical cash. Now they're like, hey, let's get them an incentive to go back into the stocks. These stocks, NVIDIA, AMD, Microsoft, and these. I mean, think about it. They're sitting at a major here. Here's your, here, let me give you a view. I'll give you pre-COVID view to here. I'll increase this. So you see. Where are we? What is this right here?
That was a huge shelf.
It's a giant shelf. They're trying to get you there. They need to offload, guys. Sorry guys, my son came. If you can watch Bluey, our favorite show in the family right now. So now you guys see, you know, it's about finding value. If you, so think about it. How many were scared to buy any of these stocks at the bottom?
Me.
Yeah, I mean, how come everybody ignored Microsoft? I hate to say it, but this is where you buy regardless what the hell's going on in the market. Did we come back to it?
Yep.
We came back to it. So now, if you guys think about this sell-off here. Well, let's see what happens when they bring this bad boy to 300, like right here. So can they push the market a little bit more? I think there's one more leg up, which would be two ES about, you know, the, what do we say, 42.68, 42.90-ish area. And that would correspond really well with some of these big boys here. You have NVIDIA that has a little bit more space. AMD has a little bit space, but AMD looks probably the weakest of them all. Then you look at Amazon, which hasn't really moved much yet. So they can use this guy to help, right? But Amazon's hurting on all fronts. Their CEO came that said they are struggling with the AWS to expect slowing sales. Google, same thing. I mean, if you're not willing to buy Google from this, remember the accumulation stuff that we just covered in the class? Here's your weekly. Where's the candle that you want to grab from here and here? Let's say you grab this one here. This is your big candle before explosion. Before explosion, this is the candle you grab. Wow, works. Right. So, and then here, look at this. Before this explosion, where's this candle? Well, if I just confirm this. Okay, so they can push this. There's a shelf here that they're tapping right now, the value area low of it, right? So if the sellers are present, they'll most likely show up at this level. So I would watch this level tomorrow. If they let it go inside, and this is exactly what happened on ES at one point with the value area low, if you guys recall. On Friday, they let it go inside the value area low and they hit the POC and they sold it off from there. So watch now between this level. If they struggle here, there's a sell-off candles. You know, they're sitting there. Look, last time they came back to this candle, what happened? Sold it off. So now if they take this one over, they're probably looking to lure more buyers in and then they sell it off at 115. So I will watch that. And those are your big boys, right? They carry a lot of the market right now. So I'd look to potentially short it, swing short. And there's the same concept, if you guys recall, when we entered the swings. Do you guys remember the swings at 122, 123-ish on this? I don't know if you guys recall, but somewhere around here, we had the levels, right? Where we said if Amazon was gonna break this range that they were in, we're looking short the tops and buy the bottoms. And that worked until it doesn't. And now they're back into that initial range here, if you guys look. So this was our range. They lost it. You see them respecting it. Tried to get in, they couldn't. Now they validated that they're inside of it. Well, okay, if you're inside of this range, then I can just grab this guy here. And I can see what is it that you're after. Okay, I see you're above the value area high here. So tell me where's the 95? 95 is at 120. So if you can break this shelf here that we just circled earlier, I would say somewhere around here. We're gonna change this not to extend. You break this, high chance here, I will short the hell out of it right at the purple line. So first here, this is swing entries here, and then second I would buy here, and if they peak about it, I would add, similar to what we did. If you guys recall this one. I don't know who remembers, who doesn't, but some of us were really, really short here.
So, Shorty, when you say short, you just buy puts with some time on them?
Yeah, for Baba, I was in September 90 puts when they were here. to give you an idea.
Okay.
When they
Yeah,
reached
so you
here,
buy time.
I bought a lot of time, and I was really heavy. Over $100,000 in puts here.
Mhm.
And then of course, I trimmed as we go. I don't hold all the. I don't need 1000%. I take little by little. I take small pieces of the pie daily. Does that
Well,
make sense?
yeah.
Okay. And this repeats on every instrument that that you guys trade. I don't know. Was anyone trade forex?
No.
Maybe not. Some of you guys don't. But if you trade, if you trade this the same way, same things happen here in the forex market. If you're looking for 30 minutes, it happens a lot where you have accumulations, and on this, I would say it works probably even better, just because the banks are, fairly, fortunately, transparent with some of their moves. And here's this.
Shorty, thank you very much. I have to bounce. Take care. Bye. Thanks.
No worries. So if you guys look at this, it works on a lot of instruments whenever you have volume. And here's your POC. I guarantee you this pair, this is going to go down on whenever it opens. It's going to dip down here. And you can use euros, whatever you prefer. It works. Volume, structures, change of character. Smart money works actually better on forex than it does on equities. So just keep that in mind. And here's, for instance, this one here. This is where your imbalance happened on this one. And look what happened here. Beep, dump.
Jeez. Yeah, that really does follow a little more out.
Yeah, and then, I mean, watch this tomorrow. Here, if you want to apply what you learned today, watch this. There's your imbalance. There's your volume. Here's your POC. Yeah, watch how clean. Watch how. Okay, here, I'll tell you where they're going to go. They're going right here tomorrow, 132.0119. This is where this is headed tomorrow.
Jeez. Do you know what the kind of like the profits look like for like a 10? I have no clue. Like how forex.
This should be a lot of money here. This should be a lot of pips here.
Oh, wow.
This would be a lot of money here. If you catch this whole move, this is giant.
Shoot. Can you trade on TradeAway, or is there like, I guess there's a
I
different
don't know
broker?
about TradeAway. I don't use TradeAway, so I don't know what they offer, but TradeStation offers it.
Okay.
Yeah. You can trade pairs. Okay. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you guys had a good session on this price action and trading and just understanding, the higher highs, lower highs. What is a breakout structure, right? Where's the change of character happening? Why does it matter, right? Changes of character are really important. They indicate reversals. That's what you should be aware of. If you learned anything, breakout structure, continuation, change of character is reversal of that market structure. So if you're making lower highs and lower lows, the change of character would reverse that lower high and make a higher high against it, whatever that is. If it's the lowest one on the bottom or whatever, you would make a higher high against the previous high. And that's like, hey, look, we are slowing down on selling. We're going higher. And same is true for the opposite side, right? If you're,
reversal. Yeah.
yeah. It's something you guys just, even if you don't use it for trading and finding, for me, I use it for confluence items, and I pay attention to how the structures are being created. Are higher highs, are we consolidating? Like, for instance, here, right? Are we consolidating here? Like they're consolidating for a bit, then a huge imbalance candle happened, and look at the manipulation here by the banks. Like, how many people got stopped out here? Look at this sell-off. They gave a nice candle, and then a giant candle, right after that, 10 o'clock, they break through that. Most likely because they're targeting this supply right here. And yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you guys picked something up. We'll post the analysis on ES in more detail tonight, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow live on Monday.
Cool. Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
so much, Shorty. This is amazing.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Shorty.
Have a
Have a
good
good
one.
one.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day, everyone. Thanks, Shorty.